story goes like this. The Romans celebrated their 7-day winter festival, Saturnalia, starting on December 17th. Thoroughly pagan affair full of debauchery and all sorts of things like worship of the god Saturn. And to mark the end of the winter solstice, the end of this time period, on December 25th, the Roman emperor established the Feast of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. And wanting to make Christianity more palatable to the Romans and more popular with the people, the new Christian emperor, Constantine, around 325 or so, whenever he was established, co-opted these pagan festivals and put the celebration of the birth of their Savior, Jesus, on December 25th, as opposed to Sol Invictus, as a part of this Saturnalia festival. And so if you like Christmas, then really you have Saturnalia and Sol Invictus to thank, and really all you're doing is worshiping the Christian version of these pagan festivals, these pagan holidays. That is the story mockingly told to the Christians at Christmas time that you'll see all over Facebook and Instagram and all other things, saying, Christians, I hope you enjoy your Saturnalia festival, or whatever it is. A couple of things. First, even if that is true, that story that was just put forth, that's put forth constantly about Christmas, Christians would have no need to be embarrassed of that reality. If in fact 1700 years ago, the Christians wanted to turn something pagan into something that glorified God, and so they took this thing and made it Christian, made it God glorifying. It doesn't really matter, after all, if December 25th was the day Jesus was born, or even close to it. As a matter of fact, yesterday, on December 19th, my family and I celebrated the birthdays of my daughter and my son, neither of which was born yesterday. My son was born December 20th, which is today for me, and my daughter was born December 16th, which was last week sometime. But we celebrated the day together at their birthday parties yesterday on December 19th. So the fact that whether or not Christ was born on December 25th doesn't really make a difference to whether or not we celebrated that day. It's the day we decided to celebrate it. So regardless, even if that's how this day came to be celebrated as Christ's birthday, it doesn't really bring cause for embarrassment. And yet, most likely, that's not how this day came to be. That's not the reason the church has, for so many hundreds and thousands of years, thousands and some hundreds of years, have celebrated December 25th as the birth of Christ, this birthday of Christ. There's good evidence that December 25th is the day that we chose. It was chosen by the Christians for reasons that don't have anything to do with pagan holidays. So here's the idea. Christ died in AD 30, AD 33 or so, and they say, after historically Constantine became emperor in about 325, that he took the pagan holidays and made them Christian, including the winter solstice, Sol Invictus, and made it on December 25th a Christian holiday, calling it Christmas and claiming that that was the birthday of Jesus and just rolling with it. But here's what we know. We know that Christmas was being celebrated before Constantine ever became emperor. This is an argument made by a guy named Andrew McGowan, professor at the Yale Divinity School, in an article called How December 25th Became Christmas. If you want to look it up and read that, I encourage you to do that. But that we have Christians that are celebrating at latest the second half of the 3rd century, some 250 to 300 AD, at least 30, if not 50, if not 100, if not more years before Constantine became emperor. So before Constantine had the power to do those things that change the names of holidays or change why holidays are celebrated, Christians were already celebrating December 25th as Christmas, as the birth of Jesus. In fact, we don't have anybody even claim that the Christians took this pagan holiday and made it their own until the 12th century. This guy named Dionysius Barsalibi was the first one to claim that Christians dated Christmas based on Sol Invictus. They made it their own. So for the first 1,000 years of Christianity's existence and 800 or so years of celebrating Christmas, nobody was claiming that the Christians took this from the pagans. That's insane. And yet we claim it today as if it is historical fact. So why do we celebrate December 25th as Christmas? Let me try to break it down simply. The first answer is that not all Christians do. There's traditionally been 2 days that are celebrated as Christmas, as the birth of Jesus. The first one being December 25th, which is one we are familiar with, and the second one being January 6th. Tertullian in around 200 AD, very quickly after Christ died on the cross, it says that the day of Christ's death was the 14th day of Nisan. Okay, this is step one. The day of Christ's death was the 14th day of Nisan, which according to the Western calendar is March 25th. According to the Eastern calendar, the Eastern Church used, was April 6th. Now, that's part one. Christ died March 25th, April 6th, one of those 2 days. Now, part two is this. It is tradition of the church to believe that Christ died on the same day that he was conceived, with the 4th century treatise, as well as St. Augustine, both claiming this, that the passion of the Lord and of his conception from the day he was conceived was the same day that he suffered. That is also a belief that was held in the East, in the Eastern church tradition, written about the same time. Epiphanius, however you say his name, of Salamis, wrote that Christ took away the sins of the world on the same day that he was shut up in the spotless room with the Holy Virgin. So both these lines of the church, both these sides of the church, Western and Eastern traditions, both believe that Christ died on the same day that he was conceived. Okay, so if Christ died on the same day that he was conceived, and Christ died on March 25th, then the church just simply did the 9-month math and said if he was conceived on March 25th, then 9 months later, he would have been born on December 25th. And therefore, the church started worshiping that day as his day of birth. Whether it was his actual literal birthday wasn't really the idea, but this was around the day that he was born if he was conceived on March 25th. And likewise, where the Eastern Church now celebrates the birth of Jesus on January 6th, the Western Church celebrates on December 25th because of those days, March 25th and April 6th, as the day which he was killed and the day which he was conceived. And so there's good evidentiary reasons, much better evidentiary reasons to believe that Christians have been celebrating this day as the birth of Jesus than the Christians were celebrating this day for some pagan holiday reason. Merry Christmas.